When your brain becomes your own worst enemy. Have you ever lain awake at 2 a.m. tired, but your mind racing like a frozen computer that refuses to shut down? Or stood before a simple decision like choosing a dish from a menu only, to spend an hour agonizing over every option as if your entire fate depended on it? Welcome to the world of overthinking, what I call when your brain becomes your own worst enemy. Today, we'll explore a strange paradox. The brain, humanity's most extraordinary tool, can sometimes become the source of our deepest suffering. Imagine being gifted a sleek Ferrari. It can take you anywhere, fast and efficiently. But what happens if this car has no brakes and you can't turn off the engine? That's the story of the human brain. Over millions of years of evolution, we've developed a mind capable of outthinking every other creature on Earth. This ability has birthed great civilizations, art, science, and technology. Thinking allows us to plan for the future, learn from the past, and solve complex problems. It's like a versatile tool in the hands of a master craftsman. But there's a catch. This tool doesn't know when to rest. And that's when things start to go wrong. To understand this, let's try a small experiment. Right now, try not to think about a pink elephant wearing sunglasses and dancing. You thought about it, didn't you? That's proof we don't have full control over what happens in our minds. Our brains are designed to run constantly, like a generator that never stops. The problem is, in the modern world, we no longer need to stay vigilant for saber-toothed tigers or hunt for food. Yet our brains keep working, searching for problems to solve. And when there are no real problems, it starts inventing imaginary ones. Meet Sarah, a 22-year-old college student nearing graduation. Her mind churns endlessly. Asterisk. Will I find a job? What if I don't? Will my parents be disappointed? Am I a failure? Asterisk. Sarah is living in a future she's created in her head, filled with the worst possible scenarios. This is the first phase of overthinking, anxiety about the future. When we constantly anticipate disasters, our bodies react as if they're happening now. Our hearts race, palms sweat, and breathing quickens. We're suffering the pain of a future that may never come. Ironically, worrying about the future robs us of the ability to enjoy the present, the only thing we truly have. Now meet Michael, a 35-year-old man. 5 years ago, he made a bad business decision that led to bankruptcy. Since then, he relives that moment daily. Asterisk, if only I hadn't done that. If only I'd listened to my friends. Things could have been different. Asterisk. Michael is imprisoned in the past, unable to move forward. This is the second phase. Depression from being stuck in the past. We have a strange tendency. We can vividly recall a painful moment from a decade ago as if it happened yesterday, yet struggle to remember something good from last week. By constantly replaying past mistakes, we not only relive the pain but also block ourselves from learning and moving on. 3 Amema lies in bed, eyes wide, staring at the ceiling. She just remembered a big meeting tomorrow, then started worrying about her presentation. Then she recalled an unanswered email, an unpaid bill, an awkward conversation with a colleague. The more she worries about not sleeping, the more awake she feels. It's a cruel, vicious cycle. This is the third phase, insomnia from overthinking. Sleep requires complete surrender of consciousness. But how can you surrender when your mind is like a busy airport with thousands of flights taking off and landing every minute? Insomnia doesn't just leave us exhausted the next day. It weakens our immune system, impairs memory, and creates a toxic cycle. The more tired we are, the more we overthink, and the more we overthink, the harder it is to sleep. Finally, meet David. He has a brilliant idea for a startup. He's researched the market, written a business plan, and even found potential investors. But he hasn't started. Why? Because David has imagined 1,000 ways his company could fail. He's analyzed every risk, every worst-case scenario, until he has no energy left to act. This is the fourth phase, perhaps the most dangerous: decision paralysis. Overthinking creates the illusion that if we think enough, we'll find the perfect decision. But the truth is, no decision is perfect. Every choice has trade-offs. While we're busy analyzing, life passes by, opportunities vanish, and we become spectators of our own lives. Let me share a personal story. A few years ago, I went through what I call a brainstorm. It started with a simple decision: changing jobs. But instead of deciding and acting, I launched an endless analysis. I created spreadsheets comparing the benefits of each job. I sought advice from 20 different people. I read hundreds of articles on career development. I stayed up nights thinking about every possible outcome. The result? After 6 months of thinking, I was still in the same place, but now stressed, exhausted, and doubting my ability to make decisions. That's when I realized I was addicted to thinking. To understand why overthinking is so destructive, let's look at what happens in the brain. When we overthink, a neural network called the default mode network, DMN, becomes hyperactive. The DMN is active when we're not focused on the external world, when we're daydreaming, reflecting, or worrying. The DMN involves brain regions tied to recalling the past, imagining the future, self-evaluation, simulating social situations. When the DMN is overactive, we get swept into a relentless thought vortex. Moreover, every time we repeat a thought pattern, we strengthen those neural pathways, making them more likely to activate in the future. That's why overthinking can become a true addiction. So, how do we escape the trap our own brains create? The good news: we absolutely can. The brain is plastic. It can change and form new connections. Method 1. Meditation. Become the observer. Meditation isn't about stopping thoughts. It's about learning to observe them without getting swept away. Imagine sitting by a river, watching leaves float by. Thoughts are like those leaves. They appear, linger, then drift away. Problems arise only when we jump into the river to chase every leaf. Method 2. Movement. Transform mental energy. When we exercise, the brain releases natural chemicals like endorphins and BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, boosting mood and focus. Movement also forces us to focus on our bodies and the present moment, temporarily shutting off the thinking machine. Method 3. Structure and discipline. Create a framework for freedom. It sounds counterintuitive, but sometimes we need structure to find freedom. A clear routine spares the brain from making countless small decisions, freeing energy for what matters. Method 4. Journaling. Put chaos on paper. Sometimes, the best way to escape a mental storm is to externalize it. Write down everything you're worried about, without logic or structure. Just pour it out. This process helps you see that many fears are baseless, and valid concerns can be addressed with specific actions. Now, let's practice a simple technique to ground yourself in the present when overthinking takes over. Name 5 things you can see around you. Name 4 things you can feel. Touch. Name 3 things you can hear. Name 2 things you can smell. Name 1 thing you can taste. This technique shifts your focus from the chaos in your mind to the real world around you. One of my biggest breakthroughs was realizing that the goal isn't to stop thinking, but to think consciously and purposefully. Instead of seeing thoughts as a raging river sweeping you away, view them as a tool you can choose to use or set aside. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me solve a problem? Is it leading to a specific action? Or is it just making me feel worse? If the answers are no to the first 2 and yes to the last, it's time to gently redirect your attention. Let's revisit our characters. Sarah, the student anxious about the future, learned to channel her anxiety into motivation. She starts each day with 10 minutes of meditation and a list of 3 specific tasks to prepare for her future. Instead of worrying about 100 possibilities, she focuses on 3 things she can control. Michael, trapped in the past, found peace by writing a letter to his past self, expressing forgiveness and understanding. He realized every mistake brought wisdom, and that wisdom is the foundation for future success. Emma, plagued by insomnia, created a worry time 15 minutes each evening to write down her concerns. After that, she reminds herself, worry time is over. Now it's sleep time. She also built a bedtime routine of reading, gentle stretching, and breathing exercises. David, paralyzed by analysis, learned to set decision deadlines. He gives himself a maximum of 3 days to research a decision, then forces himself to act. He realized that failure from action is always better than failure from inaction. Your brain isn't the enemy. It's a powerful tool that needs to be used wisely. Overthinking happens when we let this tool run on autopilot without conscious control. But when we learn to be the pilot of our minds, we can transform overthinking into powerful thinking. This journey isn't about reaching some perfect state. It's about cultivating awareness, self-compassion, and practical tools to navigate mental storms. Remember, you are not your thoughts. You are the observer, the pilot, the one with the power to choose how to respond to what happens in your mind. Every time you recognize overthinking and gently guide your attention back to the present, you're strengthening your awareness muscle. Like any skill, it grows stronger with time. So, the next time you find yourself caught in the whirlpool of overthinking, remember, you have a choice. The choice to breathe, to observe, to redirect, to act. And that's the beginning of transforming from a victim of your mind into the master of your life. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Remember, healing isn't a destination but a daily practice of self-awareness and self-compassion.